Based on the UN Global Study of Children Deprived of Liberty, there are at least 410,000 children held in remand centers every year, and over 1 million children held in police custody every year worldwide. And this data was from 2019. Just imagine how much the number has grown in the past 5 years. Hello everyone, my name is Sanskriti Jain. I'm an IB1 student, and today I will be talking to you about youth reintegration and how the reintegration process can affect a child's life. So, tackling youth justice is a complicated and it's a common issue in around the world. Many people often ask questions such as, how can we treat minors who have committed crimes? Or in contrast, should we really hold these children accountable since they haven't gotten a chance to experience the world yet? But I think the most important question is one we should be asking once the children have served their sentence. And this question is, why should we reintegrate people into society who we aren't giving a chance to be successful? This is especially an issue in a country such as Tanzania. The reintegration of children is a critical issue that warrants comprehensive investigation. Children are often vulnerable and at risk when they're going through the journey of transitioning back from the controlled institutional environment of the retention homes back into mainstream society. So many of you here in the audience today, you're teenagers, right? Imagine if just because you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, your whole life got stripped away from you. This all seems terrible, but at least you'd have some place to go. And this place is a retention home or a remand center. So, retention homes. What exactly are they? So, retention home serves as an institution where children, due to any reasons, find themselves placed under the care of the state. Why? This can be if students are involved in minor infractions, have experiences of abuse or neglect, or any other circumstances. Of course, these are children. They're aged from 12 to age 18, but who are they and what do they really represent? These children represent a really vulnerable demographic within society. But what happens to them afterwards? What happens to them afterwards in the reintegration process, it really requires a balance of social, psychological, and legal considerations to get them back into society as they once were before. Youth justice policies play a pivotal role in shaping the treatment that children receive whilst inside the retention homes. So the legal system should be expected to provide a robust support system to help these children transition back into society. I want to talk a little bit more about these retention homes, these remand centers, or as some people like to call them, juvenile centers. I want to emphasize that these are juvenile centers. They're young people. These people are still learning how to navigate complexities of life in our world. And because of this, the juvenile system should operate really differently to that of the criminal court system, because addressing needs and rehabilitation should be a priority over punishment and deterrence. I want to emphasize that these children are the same age as you are right now, they're the same age as what you once were, or the same age as what you will be in the future. So it's also their first time living, and they're learning as well. In order to understand the situation that these children are in, it's important to have an understanding of the Tanzanian circumstances that are specific to this country and the children in the retention homes in this country. So first we have socioeconomic factors. Tanzania grapples from a complex socioeconomic dynamics. Poverty remains a significant issue, especially in the rural areas where a majority of the population resides. And the starkness between rural and urban areas is really large. So the financial status of a child can really impact the amount of support they receive during the reintegration process. For example, when I was visiting the manager of the retention home in Dar es Salaam, at the retention home, he stated that some children were indirectly forced into committing their crimes due to their family's financial instability. For example, one child had to commit robbery because he was trying to help his family with money and trying to help them get more money or something along those lines. So that is a really important aspect of these children. Next is the cultural factors. So community connections within Tanzania play a pivotal role in determining how much support the child receives. So levels of community acceptance can greatly affect this. For example, if a child has a really close-knit community, they can help to support the child better, whereas communities that have more stigma around it, or communities facing their own challenges, may struggle to absorb and to support the returning child. Next, and one of the most important topics, is understanding the environment of the homes. It's understanding the landscape that these children are in. Due to lack of funding from the government, these homes often have poor facilities, such as dirty bathrooms or a lack of funding from the government. And because of this, the children do not receive the best treatment that they can. They may have limited education, or they may have limited food, or they may even have limited access to psychological care. And this is something that the Tanzanian government really needs to pay attention to, because if they don't deliver the amount of care that these children need, it will really hinder how well they're able to progress in life after that. So with another conversation with the manager, he stated that once a child went back home, they felt as if they were shunned by others around him in their community. So this can be due to a variety of things. It can be due to any of these things, but also due to stigma. Some communities have a really heavy stigma on this topic. Some communities, this may be due to miseducation, it may be due to beliefs of the people in those communities. But this way of thinking can lead the children to feeling even more vulnerable and even more isolated. So it is our responsibility as privileged people in this world. For example, all of you in the audience today, you're privileged to be at these TED Talks. For me, I'm privileged to even have food on the table, I'm privileged to have a really loving family, and I'm privileged to be at this school. And because of this, I believe that we should be able to use our privilege and help those who don't have as many privileges as we do. And this can come from being in contact to these children and understanding that they have made mistakes. And we need to understand that these mistakes are usually made without malicious intent. They're children and they're just navigating the world, as I stated before. It's normal for us to make mistakes. And in order for us to be able to really accept these people, we need to use, I think, which is one of our human most attributes, which is empathy. Humans have a really strong bond, and we have really big connections when we work with each other and when we interact with others in the community. I want to emphasize that our community is only as strong as the weakest people in it, and we create more of an issue in the community, and we create more of an issue to the people if we don't help them and if we don't try to build them up as well. And once we do that, that is when we're able to create a more positive environment. So we've all made mistakes in social settings, right? Maybe you said a joke that you thought was funny, but it actually turned out to be harmful. Or maybe you did a friend wrong. Maybe you did something you shouldn't have done. But you wouldn't want all the people around you, all of your friends, all of your family members, all of your peers, to hold you accountable to that one moment in your life, to that one mistake that you had, right? You could argue that it isn't fair, right? Even after you learn and even after you change, you don't want them to hold you accountable. In that same way, I'm arguing that it's not fair for us to hold these children accountable to that one moment in their lives in which they were detained in. So we must not hold these children in a negative light without knowing them and without knowing their stories and meeting them. In order for us to ensure that these children have a just life, we need to understand that the legal frameworks are what support the children and what set the legal frameworks for these children. We need to understand that an adequate legal framework will safeguard these children's rights, ensure fair treatment of these children, and provide successful reintegration for them once they transition back into society. However, shortcomings or gaps in this framework or in these legal support systems will lead to injustices of these children. It will hinder their progress of reintegrating, and not only reintegrating, it will hinder their progress of being able to continue forward in life, making them feel as if they are shunned by others. And a shortcoming will also lead to a lack of resources that these children have in life, and also a lack of legal representation in the court. So we must ensure that we implement effective policies in order to contribute to the long-term well-being and health of these children. And in order to do this, of course, it comes from the government, but it also comes from, as I said before, community. It comes from our empathy together. And to do this, we need to advocate. But what is advocating really? Advocating is public support. It's when the whole community comes together and we come and advocate for specific issues. This means that everyone supports, and it means that the problems will not be solved until and unless people come together to support these people and to advocate for their problems. There's only so much that we can do advocating, but with advocacy, we also have to make sure that we say it to the people in power, to the people in our governments who have the ability to change our systems and the ability to change our world. So we must advocate it to them. Okay, now I want to go back to Tanzania specifically. I want to show you that even though there are these shortcomings in the legal system, there are elements of progress within Tanzania. The legal system offers a supportive framework in theory, but it faces budgetary constraints that may hinder the children's ability to reintegrate. And this impacts their ability for legal aid and for support. Additionally, children from economically disadvantaged backgrounds may face challenging in access this legal representation, potentially influencing their sentencing decisions in court if they don't have a good lawyer. So understanding and addressing these specific socioeconomic issues is not only an important thing, but it's also ethical for these children and for their lives. So while Tanzania has made progress with aligning its youth justice policies with those of the global best policies, there is still some room for improvement. One of those, as I stated before, is addressing the budgetary constraints, whether this comes from inside the government itself or it comes from international aid. So the deeper understanding of Tanzania's unique context is essential for crafting these effective strategies in order to help the children. So it is incumbent upon Tanzanian civil authorities, Tanzanian organizations, and international partners to work together to develop and implement policies that reflect this understanding and that will reflect the understanding of the children. And once we do this, we can help the children break free from the cycle of retention and vulnerability, and then retention and vulnerability all over again. Once we do this, we're able to create a more compassionate and effective youth justice system, ensuring that these children are not only reintegrating and thriving in their communities, but they're also encouraged to empower and to lead fulfilling lives in the future. Steps to move forward to this inclusive society would encourage the governments to change their laws and procedures to safeguard these children's rights and their values. So now, I want to circle back to the question that I asked you at the beginning of this talk. Why should we reintegrate people into society if we don't give them a chance to be successful? This is a really important question, because if we don't give people a chance to be successful, we're putting them on a lower footing than the rest of us, and it's not fair. So here are some things that you can do to help let these children be successful. So one is destigmatizing. You can learn about the challenges faced by these children, and you can help others in the community destigmatize from this as well. By doing this, you can visit the homes, you can learn about these people's stories, you can educate yourselves, and to better understand their problems. We also need to challenge the well-accepted stigmas around this and to see the children as children. We need to see them as people and not just criminals or outcasts or whatever labels you'd want to put on them. The next thing you can do is to advocate. You can contact policymakers, you can sign petitions, you can support organizations that lobby for policy reforms, but we need to advocate to allow other people to understand these issues and to understand what they can do to help, what they can do to change, and what they can do to make the world better. And the last thing that you could do is to directly support these reintegration programs. You can donate your time, you can donate your resources or your funds to these programs, which will help these children and support these children in their reintegration process. Because as I said before, humans are very, very connected, and that, I think, is one of our strongest attributes. And I feel like we should use our empathy and kindness in more collaborative ways and in better ways for everyone in the environment. So I want to say that the reintegration process, this issue, it's a very important thing. So if we are going to rehabilitate people, and if we are going to put them in these retention homes, let's do it correctly. Thank you.